And then I want to quickly go over how to make your demo reel. So for this class, we have there, winter, PDFs, and 20. If you have me in multiple sections, you want to make one demo reel for both classes, that's fine with me. We have a gaming pipeline assignment, a simple props assignment, environment assignment, production pipeline, Pokeball, mech arm. We didn't do the vehicle. I'll spread those points out. We did do the 3D scanning and fixing. That's what I was just showing. And we did do the 3D printing. And then we also did our challenges. Okay. So for every single one of these assignments, you had something you turned in. For the gaming pipeline ones, you took snapshots of your images inside of Unreal. For the simple props, you did the same thing. For the environment, you did the same thing. For production pipeline, product pipeline, you had a render, a physical render. For Pokeball, you had a rendered image or rendered animation, right? For the mech arm, you had a animation. Yep. And then the vehicle ignore. This we had a ZBrush file, so you can take a screenshot of the ZBrush file if you want. I mean, not if you want, but it's one way to do it. And then the same thing with the 3D print. You can just take a screenshot of the 3D print. So take all of those assets you have and put them into a folder, a separate folder just on your desktop. So I have in here, this is not the ones for this class, these are just random ones. The process is exactly the same no matter what you have. So I put everything in the same folder so that it's a little bit easier to grab everything instead of me having to go and find each one of these items throughout all of my folders, especially if something gets lost. So what you're going to do is you're going to come into After Effects and you're just going to import all of those things once it decides to load. There it goes. So I'm going to go and import my file, and on the desktop, here's my arm render image, so I'm just going to bring that in. Here is my blocks. Oops, close that. Make sure it says sequence, import that. Find my next item that I'm bringing in, which is this one. Find my next item I'm bringing in, which is that one. Find my next item I'm bringing in, that one. Find my next item. And so however many items you have, you just bring them all in individually. And these ones. Anything like this, just say ignore. All right, so now I have my collection of things, however many items you have there. I'm going to take all of these and click them in the order I want them to show. So I'm control clicking, this is the order I want them to show up in. So it makes sense to have them in some sort of order, like here's my beginning gaming stuff, building up to our product stuff, building up to your mech arm. Drag this onto the new comp. This will pop up a window that says, I want to make a single composition, which is what we want to do. What dimensions am I using? So I know for my arm render, that one is, I believe that one's right. Yeah, so this one's 960 by 540, which is what we want our stuff rendered out at. So I can use this one. Some of these, like our still images, are not 960 by 540. They're 3000 by 2400, so we don't want to use those. So arm render, that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to say still duration is set to 200, which is 2 seconds. I'm going to say sequence layers, and then I'm going to hit OK. So what this is going to do is it's going to take all those pieces in the order we selected them and stagger them one after the other inside of After Effects. It doesn't resize them yet. We will resize them. But it automatically puts everything together. Oops, let me turn my transparency off. Okay, so there's all my pieces inside here. Now eventually we'll get to a piece like this, which is, you'll see, a bit bigger than my resolution. So I'm going to hit S with this one clicked, and I'm just going to scale it down until the whole picture fits inside that box. I don't want to cut off the edges of it or the tops of it. I want everything to fit in there. You can have it barely cut off, like I don't want to have a black line there, so maybe I'll go to 67% or 68 just to be safe. There we go. But I don't want to have as much that was cut off. So I'm going to go to the next one. That's good. I'll go to the next one. This one is way cut off. You can see how big it is. So I hit S again, and then I just scale it down until it fits. And I'm just using my scroll wheel to zoom in. You could also use the magnifier here. So I'm going to say 23%, yep. My next one, that's good. This one's good. This one's good here. That one's good there. This one's good here. This is all like random stuff that I worked on this semester. And that's it, okay? So that's all my pieces that I'm putting in this demo reel. Then I'm going to go up to File, Export, and Add to Render Queue. This process will be the same thing that I showed for the Pokeball, the same thing I showed for the mech arm. You click on Lossless, you go to QuickTime, and then from the list here, you'll choose H.264. Now, I have the latest version of After Effects, so H.264 doesn't show up in this list. On these computers at the college, they do show up, so you won't have to worry about it if you do it here. If you don't do it here, you'll have to, if you don't do it here and you don't see that option, you'll have to go to Export, Add to Media Encoder Queue. This will open up a separate program called Media Encoder, and inside Media Encoder, you pick H.264. It's a pretty simple interface. It literally is just a drop down and then go. That's all we have to do. If you want to get fancy with this, you could add audio to your stuff. You could add a title sequence. It's not required, but again, just stuff you could add to it. That's thinking. That's thinking. When you turn this in, while we're waiting for that to come up, you're just going to drop your last movie. Turn in. Your last demo reel movie right into here. I don't need any sheets for these last couple assignments, so your 3D print fix-up I don't need a sheet for. Your mech arm I don't need a sheet for because I'm not going to be returning it and then you sign it and give it back. I'm just going to grade it and put it in Canvas. And then your demo reel I don't need a sheet for that one as well. When you name these, I want them named a specific way too, which we will get to once this loads up. It takes long on my computer because I have a lot of plugins. It should not take this long on your computer, especially if you already have it open. Let's see if it doesn't go and lock up at the one. Yeah. Nope, nope. And this program is good for other stuff too. You could actually take a movie you've created, bring it into Media Encoder, and then compress it that way. You could also take a sequence in there. Most of the time, if you're like working in industry and you have something you need to maintain the quality a bit more, this has a lot more options than After Effects does. In After Effects, we basically have like QuickTime, H.264, a couple things we can pick. This has a whole bunch of stuff that you can choose to figure out the best way to get that file size small and still maintain like a good quality video. Premiere uses this and After Effects uses this, so you could use that. And what's cool too is that if you had, in this class obviously we didn't have a lot, if you had a bunch of stuff that you wanted to render out, I could grab like all of these movies and then send them all over to Media Encoder. I'd have to do it a different way, but send them all to Media Encoder, and then it would allow me to basically make a movie for each one of those. Okay, really quick, like one after the other. I don't have to like make a bunch of comps and stuff. All right, so here is Adobe Render Queue, or Media Encoder. Here's the render queue over here. So you see from this list, you just choose H.264, and then you tell it where you want it to go. So I'm going to put this inside of my P drive. 2520 and Sarcona underscore DemoReel underscore 2520 underscore winter 18. Okay, that way I know whose it is, I know what it is, I know the class number, and then I know the semester. Then you hit go, and then it's going. Okay, so that's as simple as it can get. Export to the Media Encoder if you need to. Make sure you label it correctly. Make sure you spell DemoReel and your name correctly. Make sure you name it with your name. Some people don't for some reason, and I don't know whose stuff it is. Yes, ma'am. No, you can just do the after. I don't care if you do the before and after, but I want at least the after in there. Okay, so that's it. So then you'll just drop that file into that turn-in demo reel folder. So by Wednesday of this week, you should have your demo reel turned in, your mech arm turned in, your 3D scan fix turned in, and then your challenge, which will be Wednesday, you'll have that turned in too. Sir?
Wait, this Wednesday?
Correct.
Okay.
Any questions?